Hi everyone. So sourcing dairy, this is another really tricky thing to do. And you have to understand a few things about our laws here in America. So we pasteurize our milk by law. What that means is we cook it, right? Every milk that's sold, essentially, there's ways around this, we'll talk about that, but all the milk that's sold in the stores has been cooked, which means that the organisms living inside it, which actually help it to digest, have died. Now what that means also is that the shelf life is extremely prolonged, right? So raw milk, as it's called, raw milk, uncooked milk, the shelf life is much shorter than cooked milk, right? So it can sit on the shelves, and once again, a lot of the way that food has taken form around us, remember, is because of the necessities of the modern economy, right? So the flavors and the health considerations and the things that are determining what most of us eat are not around health or flavor, but they're around this idea of how can we maximize efficiency, right? And how can we make sure people don't get sick from drinking bad milk? But is the answer to cook it all? Well, I don't believe it should be. So we even hold cheese at the customs, you know, so the French make all these amazing raw cheeses. It's in their culture. It's beautiful. The cheese, the flavors are completely different than anything you've ever had. And if they ship that cheese into America before there's a window, I forget what the window is. It can be raw if it's past 60 or 90 days or something. I forget what the window is. But if you ship it before that date, then the government is actually going to say this cheese is dangerous or something, but this cheese can't come into the border, come into the country or across the border. Which is, in my opinion, justifiably insane. So look into raw milk. All states are different. There's a few things you can do. One, if you eat cheese, look at your cheese. It's almost impossible to get good cheese in the grocery stores. There are some available, and you really have to look and you have to taste it. Start developing your palate around what is a really robust, healthy cheese that feels like it's living, that has a unique flavor, that I really feel that I can taste the sort of flavors of the earth coming through it, right? And start to look around and see what you like, right? There's stuff I like at the store, but it's hard. When you find a really good cheese shop, which can be hard to find, I know if you're not in the big cities, when you find a really good cheese shop and you start finding these small scale produced cheeses, there's a lady up in Vermont producing my favorite cheese right now. It's all goat cheese, and it's all, I think she's completely living off the grid or something. It's like her, I emailed her one day. I was just like, thank you for making this cheese. It's so good. Anyways, so you're gonna discover things like that, and you get more and more connected, and this will change the way you eat. So back to the laws. So most states do have a pasteurization law. There are ways around this. For instance, I think in California you can buy raw milk, both cow and goat, and that is different in a lot of states too. But the way around it in a lot of states, if you really want to get crafty, is what they call a cow share, which sounds pretty funny, but quite literally you own a portion of a cow, which is going to, like, as interest, basically give you milk. And so people in a community will band together because they understand that raw milk is just better. It digests so much easier. It's totally different. The flavor's different. The way it digests completely different. So I guarantee you, if you try it, you're gonna see the difference. So you can look up cow shares, you can look at your farmer's market. Anyone at the farmer's market will probably know the laws. You can also go online and look at websites for the state laws. But lots of times, if you're in a somewhat urban environment, there will be some sort of delivery that will do some sort of cow share or something for raw milk. If you're in a more rural environment, a lot of times you can probably find someone with cows, which sounds a little absurd, I think, in our modern day, but is truly something that can be quite valuable. Like, to build a connection, to have a local milk delivery or to pick up milk is something that's really fun and really goes to connect you to the land. And I believe, truly builds the feeling of holism and health in our lives. So how and where you go about doing this is all up to you and different. Some things to consider too are, is your yogurt pasteurized, right? A lot of yogurt isn't, which means it's still got a lot of living things in there. We'll talk about this more down the road with fermented and live foods. And the other thing to look into is some states don't mandate that goat's milk be raw or be pasteurized. So you might be able to actually purchase raw goat's milk. Goat's milk can have a bad reputation because it's got a different flavor, but when you find truly fresh raw goat's milk that was in the animal like that day or the day before, I think you'll find that it is quite good. But as it sits, and especially the raw, as it sits, that flavor that people consider goaty, like goat's milk, will get more and more strong. And I admittedly, I don't like it on the tail end. It gets a little bit too much for me, but the fresh goat's milk is just wonderful. So there you go. There's cow shares, there's goat's milk. There's two main processes I guess you should know about milk. One is pasteurization, which everything is done. The other is homogenization. So if you go to the store, a lot of milk will not be homogenized. If you buy it like the premium milk in glass bottles and things, it will taste a lot better. It's just a process of how they like mix the fats together. So what you'll find is actual cream on top, which is how milk should be. And you'll see that in different ways. So those brands, I do like those. They're pretty good. I drink those when I really want milk generally. But if you can find the raw milk, it makes a world of difference. Just give some to your kids and see which one they like better. Like see which one makes them feel better and do it with yourself. Yeah, so cheese, yogurt, and milk. It's a tricky subject, but do some research, buy local, buy well.